You know that kid who never really got to be a kid? The one who was making dinner at 8 years old, mediating their parents' fights at 10, or basically raising their siblings before they hit puberty? It's Psychology Unfolded, where we decode what makes you you. Yeah, that wasn't childhood. That was survival training. And if that was you, here's what nobody tells you. Your brain didn't just adapt, it rewired itself entirely. And those changes, they're still running the show in your adult life. Stay with me because what I'm about to tell you will completely reframe how you see yourself, your relationships, and why you can't seem to relax even when everything's fine. Here's the thing nobody talks about. Growing up too fast doesn't just steal your childhood, it fundamentally alters your nervous system. When you're forced into adult responsibilities before your brain is ready, something fascinating and tragic happens. Your brain skips developmental stages it desperately needed. Think about it. While other kids were playing, making messes, being irresponsible, you were the responsible one. The caretaker, the emotional support system, the problem solver. And your brain, still developing, still learning how the world works, absorbed one core lesson. Your needs don't matter. Other people's needs come first. Always. Psychologists call this parentification. It's when a child is forced into a parental role, either physically taking care of others or emotionally supporting adults who should be supporting them. And research shows it doesn't just affect childhood, it literally shapes brain architecture. Your amygdala, the brain's fear center, became hyperactive. It had to. You were constantly scanning for danger, reading emotions, predicting needs. Will dad be angry tonight? Is mom okay? Do I need to step in? That hypervigilance. It was survival, but it never turned off. Studies from the Harvard Center on the Developing Child show that chronic stress in childhood floods the developing brain with cortisol. And here's the kicker. Too much cortisol during critical development periods physically changes brain structure. Your stress response system never learned how to regulate properly because it was always in crisis mode. So now, as an adult, you're calm in chaos, eerily calm. When everyone else is panicking, you're the one solving problems, staying steady, holding it together. People admire this about you. They call you mature, responsible, the rock. But here's what they don't see. You're not calm because you're zen. You're calm because your nervous system has been in fight or flight for so long that crisis feels like home. Normal feels uncomfortable. Peace feels suspicious. Ever notice how you can't relax on vacation? How you feel guilty doing nothing? How rest feels like laziness? Yeah, that's not a personality trait. That's your childhood programming still running. Let's talk about relationships because this is where it gets really complicated. When you grow up too fast, you learn a specific blueprint for connection. Love equals caretaking. Worth equals usefulness. And relationships, they're transactions where you give and others receive. Attachment theory, developed by psychologist John Bowlby, explains this perfectly. Healthy attachment forms when a child's needs are consistently met by a caregiver. The child learns, I matter. My feelings are important. I can depend on others. But when you're the one doing the caretaking, when your emotional needs are ignored or dismissed, you develop what's called insecure attachment, specifically anxious or avoidant patterns. You either become hyper-attuned to others' needs, desperate to be needed, or you shut down entirely, convinced that depending on anyone is dangerous. Here's the part that explains so much. You probably pick partners who need you, not want you, need you. The emotionally unavailable ones, the broken ones, the ones with problems you can fix. Why? Because that dynamic feels familiar. Your brain recognizes it. Caretaking equals love. And when someone doesn't need you, when they're actually stable and healthy, your nervous system screams danger. This doesn't compute. If they don't need me, why would they stay? But wait, it gets deeper. Children who grow up too fast often develop what researchers call hyper-responsibility. You feel responsible for everything: other people's emotions, the success of projects, the mood of the room. If something goes wrong, even if it's completely outside your control, your brain defaults to, "I should have prevented this." This isn't arrogance, it's a trauma response. When you were young, you were forced into situations where you had to control outcomes to stay safe. So your brain learned, if I'm vigilant enough, responsible enough, perfect enough, I can prevent bad things from happening. Spoiler alert, you can't. But your nervous system hasn't updated the software yet. Now let's talk about something most people don't understand. You're probably incredibly emotionally intelligent. You can read a room like nobody's business. You know what someone needs before they say it. You sense tension, predict reactions, manage emotions that aren't even yours. But here's the tragic part. All that emotional intelligence was developed as a survival skill, not a gift. You learned to read people because you had to, because your safety depended on knowing when to disappear, when to step in, when to fix things. Dr. Gregory Jerkovic, who spent decades studying parentification, found that children who grow up too fast develop what he calls destructive parentification. It's destructive because while it creates competence, it also creates a hole, a deep, aching emptiness where childhood should have been. You never learned how to play without purpose, how to be messy without guilt, how to ask for help without feeling weak. And now, as an adult, you're exhausted, bone-deep exhausted, because you've been performing adulthood since you were 7. People ask, "Why are you so tired? You didn't even do that much today." They don't understand. You're not tired from what you did today. You're tired from what you've been doing for decades. Here's what's wild. You probably apologize for everything, for taking up space, for having needs, for existing inconveniently. That's because somewhere deep in your wiring, you learned that your presence was a burden unless you were being useful. So you make yourself small. You minimize your problems. You say, "I'm fine," when you're falling apart. Because asking for help feels like failing. And you don't get to fail. You're the one who holds everything together. But here's what you need to hear. You're not broken. You're not too much. You're not damaged beyond repair. You're someone who survived something most people can't imagine. You're someone whose nervous system adapted to keep you alive. And now, as an adult, you get to do something you never could as a child. You get to choose differently. You can learn that rest isn't laziness, that boundaries aren't selfish, that your needs matter just as much as everyone else's. You can stop being everyone's therapist, savior, and emotional support system. You can let someone else carry the weight for once. Because the childhood you lost, you can't get it back. But the adulthood you're living right now, that's yours to rewrite. So next time someone calls you mature for your age, or responsible, or the strong one, remember what it cost you to become that person. And ask yourself, am I still living like that scared kid who had to be perfect to be safe? Or am I ready to finally put that weight down? I'll see you there.